Good morning. Today is Wednesday, April 5th. It is 8:37 a.m. And it's amazing. I actually was planning on starting this a little early, and one thing leads to another, and next thing you know, it's 8:37 a.m. Okay, let's take a look at today's news. Keep in mind today is Wednesday, so we know we have inventories coming out, but 9:45 we have PMI, 10 o'clock PMI, 10:30 inventories. 2 o'clock we got the Fed meeting. So I am expecting a choppy open today in oils. We are certainly going to make sure we have homework prepared for the S&P, whether we do it before the open or during the open of oil. Let's come and shift our levels here from yesterday. Okay. I'm grabbing one from another chart because it was hard for me to see. So you'll see that move there. There we go. Okay. Value area high, value area low, VPOC from yesterday. Now overnight low. And we can see as I'm drawing this immediately that we are 100% net long in inventory. We have only traded above yesterday's close. Here is yesterday's close. Right from when we opened back here, we went straight up, and we are currently sitting very close to the overnight high, which we will mark off on here. Okay. 51.68 is where we are currently trading. Let's bring in our hourly chart. Okay, and as expected from one of the hypotheses yesterday, I don't remember which one, admittedly, we had come all the way up to test the first of these micro composites. So now let's scrunch this up, take a look at what we have going backwards. Okay, and you can see that this area was very empty. We pushed through it quickly here. I know this is not a very good looking chart. Let's see if we can't make that a little bit better to see. Okay, so we pushed when we pushed through this area. This is very tough to see. I'm so sorry. I mean, there's really nothing I can do about this. I guess I can pull in a bit of a longer term chart, but I really don't want to do that. But that's why we draw the levels that we draw. We can get some information from the lines here, but basically the idea right now is for where overnight high is. We did exactly what it is we were expecting to do if we continue to push up, and that is start getting through the low into the low volume node here. We ultimately came all the way up top here at overnight high, and we are slowly trying to creep back into this former micro composite back here. Looks like we're trying to get back into that range where we had balanced for quite some time, and very likely if we do get back in there, we will start to balance in that range again. So today, for our hypothesis, we know we are opening at 51.68, and truth be told, I really don't even need candles where we're drawing out our hypothesis because we have these previous lines drawn in for us. All right, so this is giving me quite a big range to work with, and that's good. So first thing, real obvious big gap up. All right, yesterday's high is right there. Oh, sorry, let's do that. Let's take a look if there are any levels that need to come off this chart, and we see this one here was completely disregarded. This one was not. We blew right through, but we have not yet tested it from the top side, so we're going to leave this on. We're also going to mark off yesterday's high. I'll fine tune that on the trigger chart, and yesterday's low is right at the bottom of that candle here. Okay. So let's get back up top here. And so we are going to start with an expectation of a test of overnight high, maybe this swing above it, fail, push back down, get into and through overnight VPOC, and ultimately make our way back down towards yesterday's high to close the gap with and to get to yesterday's VPOC, which is right near the high of day. This is going to be hypo 1. So 1 second. Okay. Sorry. Just checking if the screenshot is capturing what I wanted. Perfect. All right. Hypo 2 is going to be an open test of this VPOC, test of where is our overnight low? I don't see it drawn on this chart, but I know we drew it. Should be right around here. Oh, where did it go? Hang on. So there we go. Okay. Let's get back to our drawing here. So an open, a push up towards, let me do that again. Open, push up towards overnight high, fail, come down. We might not even get that push up, but come down through overnight VPOC, ultimately make our way down into yesterday's range, testing overnight low, see if yesterday's high holds. If we could get beneath it and see if yesterday's high holds, we can see a push back down into yesterday's range, ultimately testing yesterday's value area low, and even below that. But we're going to use that as hypo 2. Hypo 3 is going to be open, push down, hold microcomposite VPOC, swing back up, make its way towards overnight high, break overnight high, and ultimately make its way up to test these swings up here. Again, we have a bit of a low volume area here in the composite, so it wouldn't be surprising to see a fairly quick push if we can get above 52. Actually, this is really 51.90, 51.95, this former VPOC. Let's see where that comes from right there. I'm going to actually draw that on the chart because I want that on my trigger chart. Let's do this. Okay. If we can get above this 51.95, it looks like we have pretty smooth sailing up to these swings up here. Really all the way up to this high volume node. You know what, let me put this back where it was. Really all the way up to this high volume node here, 53.36. So we definitely could see if we start pushing above this 52, we definitely can see a major push up. And of course, those pushes can happen on inventory day as well as any day out there. So we really got to pay attention to see if we get a magnet, see if this high volume node pulls us up there. This is going to be hypo 3. Okay. Let's switch over to the ES. All right. And again, let's start by doing our adjustments. Value area low. VPOC. Value area high. Now let's go find overnight high and overnight low. And overnight VPOC. So we can see the overnight VPOC and the VPOC from yesterday's session are almost overlapping. So definitely a lot of pull down here, a lot of reason for price to come back. We are fairly neutral on inventory. You see, we traded about half the trading happened below yesterday's close, about half the trading happened yesterday's above yesterday's close. So not much to take from there. Let's go to the hourly chart, and we certainly have fallen into an area of balance. So let's throw a micro composite here. I'm actually going to include this very bottom. Flip it over to this side, make it a little smaller. Okay, and we can see that in this micro composite, it's very P-shaped, okay? Very skewed towards the top side, right? And that makes sense. We did see a couple of days of balance up here. And a real clear distribution. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at where we're trading right now. 2361. And let's see if we can't find anything that makes sense to us here. So because inventory is neutral, we really don't have any gauge as to what we are that we should have up or down movement at the open. So we're going to, that's not going to be a factor for us. What we're going to look for at the open here is going to be a push up through overnight high, up to this microcomposite VPOC, this previous swing, resistance here, and then get back through overnight high, pulling us down towards this microcomposite VPOC, which we're going to mark off right now. So ultimately pulling us back down into yesterday's value area, into microcomposite VPOC, yesterday's VPOC, overnight VPOC, and potentially all the way down to value area low from yesterday. This is going to be hypo 1. Give me 1 second here. Let's also take a look at yesterday's trading, see if there are any levels that we went through. So to do that, I'm going to just move my microcomposite out of the way for a second. We did not breach any levels that we need to get out of the way, but we do need to add some levels on here. We need to put on yesterday's low. And yesterday's high. Let's bring back my microcomposite. And let's draw out hypo 2. And again, we were opening at 61, so let's bring it up here. And here we're going to look for a test and fail right at overnight high, right at this swing, and bring us back down into this cluster of VPOCs. Let me put my microcomposite VPOC on here. Oh, come on. Okay. Do that again. So an open and a fail immediately at overnight high, bringing us back to this cluster of VPOCs. Microcomposite VPOC, yesterday's VPOC, overnight VPOC, and look to see if this holds, then we're looking for a turn back up and ultimately getting us through overnight high, making its way towards the top of this microcomposite. And if we can get through there, I think we have some room to go. Again, we have a low volume area here. Same thing in oil, that if we can get through it, we have a nice space, nice room for a move. So that's going to be hypo 2. Hypo 3, let me think here for a second. Let's see. Hypo 3 is going to be an open, push down, get into these cluster of VPOCs, maybe retest value area high from yesterday, fail, maybe even come out a little further, fail, and then push down into and through yesterday's value area low in an attempt to come back down towards right around this low volume area here, this previous microcomposite, which we could, if we get through there, we could slide pretty easily down to this microcomposite. That's going to be hypo 3. Okay, that's going to be it for yes. I believe I still have plenty of time. I didn't even check what time it was. That was kind of silly. Get this out of the way. What do we got here? Perfect, a little over 5 minutes. All right, let's take a look at what oil looks like right now. Looks like we might be shifting VPOC here. We see this high volume node stacking up right where we're currently trading, 51.66. Current overnight VPOC is 51.52. While that's happening, the S&P is creating new highs. It's going to throw off our homework a bit, but we'll have to just deal with that. And maybe if we have a chance, we'll take a look at it one more time before the open. Okay. Oil has come to 51.60. This is exactly where we did our homework, so we're pretty close to actually exactly where we looked to form our hypotheses. And just as a reminder, let me bring this up for you guys. You guys and me, not. I like a nice little refresher too. Let's pull this up. Okay, so here we have what should be our three oil hypos. Push up through overnight high, trying to get to naked VPOC and swing. Turn back down to fill the gap. Push up without breaking overnight high and push back down to fill the gap. We see that's kind of a recurring theme. Attempt to fill the gap. No, don't actually make it. Turn up and get above overnight high. There is one other scenario here that I think we should draw out that I'm going to do right now for us. And that is push above the high immediately, have the high hold, and then go. We need to pay attention for that too. In a scenario like this, if you remember, there's a high volume node above us at about 53.34. Let's pull it in here. 53.34 exactly. That becomes our target. So that's going to be hypo 4. I'm actually going to just move this down a little. And okay. Oh, just had a nice little spike up here in oil. Let's see what the Khabib is up. A nice negative divergence. from here to here. Definitely looking for a short here. S&P continues to push. For those of you who don't know, I'm not crazy about taking trades prior to the open, but this one does look like a really good short setup. We might be missing this one here. I almost can't help myself. I really, really want to take a short here, but let's hold off. S&P continuing to push higher. Doesn't look like we're in any danger in the S&P of shifting VPOC, but we are definitely we have shifted overnight high a few times. One minute left to the open. I'm very much interested in a short here right now in oil. The only problem is it's obviously a very clear uptrend. We are probably better off waiting and looking for some longs, seeing if we get a pullback towards overnight VPOC. Even if we get a pullback into this swing low, we're probably better off waiting for longs there. But let's see. There's a quick push right at the open. Taking a single contract short right here. Negative divergence across the board. This is also a momentum play, but it does have validation. It does have validation by the BBs. So I'm going to watch order flow for the idea of scaling in or not scaling in. We're also going to watch the BBs because you know, they can change pretty drastically if we get large candles. Keep in mind today is Wednesday, so we are going to be expecting a little bit of chop. There we go. Okay. Pushing down. Now remember, we are in an uptrend, so I'm going to start watching down here. I'm going to start watching down here for some potential buying opportunities. I'm obviously not the only one. A nice turn back up there. Nice. Just got pictures of my son's school pictures. Oh my God, he's so handsome. You got to give me something to put in my Merce. For those of you who didn't know, you now know I have a Merce.
Oh my God.
So we see a nice candlestick pattern forming down here. This wick came down to this former swing low. Let's see if we let's see if we think it's time to pull the trigger on a long here. Watching the order flow right now. We have this previous swing. We have the previous swing plotted on our chart. We have a little consolidation here. We have this previous swing from overnight. But I'd like to get the order flow. Like to get the order flow a little more on my side here. And again, just as a reminder for us, see if this will work. We don't need the, if you remember, I drew in one last hypothesis that went straight up. We don't need that one right now. So here's what we're looking at right now. So we've had our open. We pushed down. What's interesting though, oh shoot, I'm showing you the wrong, I'm sorry. Hang on. Here it comes. All right, so we had our open, push down. We're currently we're still well above overnight VPOC. How did we open here? Oh, we opened much higher than okay, I see. But anyhow, so we looked at, let's get back to here. We looked at the idea of potentially pushing back through overnight VPOC and ultimately into this cluster of VPOCs, and not necessarily getting there. Here's what we had. This is so far what our opening looks like today. We pushed above overnight high, didn't get as high as that swing, but that's completely fine. There you go, right here. We pushed overnight high. We failed there. Now we're starting to make our way down. Let's see what happens if we can get to overnight VPOC, and if so, what comes from there? So let me just take a quick look here. So what we don't show on here is any potential bounce off of overnight VPOC. That doesn't mean it can't happen. That doesn't mean it can't happen. We're definitely going to be paying attention to that if we do come down there. But we also, like I've been saying, we have an area here that is starting to form up as a nice potential spot for a long. So again, let's wait to see order flow. It's a little bit aggressive for my taste, a little bit too early to jump into a long here. And VPOC is shifted down here, so we're putting in some volume down here, which makes sense. We've seen some overlapping bars. Overlapping bars basically is just indecisiveness. Definitely right now we are in an uptrend, although we did see overnight high hold, and we were lucky enough to be able to catch a trade there. We are clearly in an uptrend from last few days, but even more short term from overnight. So we're looking now. We are looking for an opportunity to get into a long. We closed our first trade at our 10-tick profit target. Partly for me, that was because we are in an uptrend, and I really didn't have a good gauge as to how far this pullback would go. Now we have a nice gap up, right? We see. Let's find yesterday's high on here, way down here at the 51.16. Let's make that exact. 51.16. So we have quite a ways to go to fill that gap, and to be exact, we are 51.16. Our open was 51.72, so that gives us 56. Cut that in half is 28. 16 and 28 is 44. 51.44 is halfway through the gap. That seems to be a number that a lot of people pay attention to. 50% of the gap retracement. But still watching here, this area of consolidation. I'm going to tell you what, I like the idea of having these large trade blocks being shown on the chart, but sometimes they kind of get in the way. 63 is the swing low from before. So still looks like we're trying to slowly chip our way down here. So we need to be patient, need to wait for a good opportunity. Keep in mind, it is Wednesday morning. You know, we may have gotten lucky and caught the move of the day right now, which, yeah, I mean, yeah, granted, you could still be in the trade. You could still, and, you know, there's still some profit potentially to be had, but the move happened quickly. That is exactly what a momentum play should look like at the open. A push in one direction, a stop, a pivot, and a turn back in the other direction, and then it happened fairly quickly. It worked out nicely for us because it happened with negative divergence, so we had reason to be in the trade. We had a nice quick spike up right at the open, right above overnight high. How many times have we seen exactly what happened here? Quick spike, get above overnight high, quick spike right back down, and in a lot of cases we missed that trade today. We were prepared for it, and we had some validation by the BBs, which helped. Now let's see here. You know, I noticed when I replay my videos, I take deep breaths with my nose a lot. I don't know why, but I hope it's not annoying to you guys. But I'm not gonna lie to you, it was kind of annoying to me. I watch my videos in double speed when I watch them at night, instead of trying to just jump around to find where I got in trades, where I didn't. I just play it in 2x speed. I wish there was a way I could play it even faster than that. Maybe there is some type of playback that you can. But anyhow, so I keep hearing that, you know, loud inhaling through my nose, and man, was it annoying. So here we're getting lots of overlapping bars here. Definitely have to believe that right now the momentum and the pressure is to the upside, just due to the trend that we're in. That's not to say it makes for a good trade opportunity just yet. Look how negative the BBs would be if we were to come up right now. It looks as if we would have negative divergence on all three of the BBs again if we were to come and make a push up towards overnight high and current high of day. So kind of stuck right now, which means it's time to sit on our hands and let this play out.
Not because I'm picking your toy. Yeah.
So, you know, wouldn't be surprised to see the current range here. You know, wouldn't be surprised to see the current range of where are we now, 63 to 80. It's only 17 ticks, right? So not a huge range. Wouldn't be surprised to see this range hold for a little while. You know, we have a larger consolidation channel here, a really small one that just formed here. So we got indecisiveness inside indecisiveness. Definitely, the only trade, in my opinion, you couldn't make down here is a potential long with a fairly tight stop. Just trying to play this range. For me, yeah, 17 ticks. That is enough. 17 tick range is enough, obviously, to get into a trade and grab a profit target. But you'd have to really be in close to the bottom and get out close to the top. So, as you know, I say it all the time. I say it every Wednesday. Wednesdays are, I'm much more aware of the fact that we're probably going to have tight ranges on Wednesdays. So I tend to sit on my hands a little better, which I need to get better at during the other days of the week. I've mentioned most of my bad trades come from the middle. So we have a move like this, we get a retracement. Perfect example. We get a retracement here. We get to a VWAP. I see order flow step in. I look to go short. Problem is that's not always a good place to get into a trade. Usually, what I should be doing is waiting for better entries. The truth is, I want my entries timed so well that I never get scaled in. Once I know my entries are that good, then I can start taking my entire positions at one price point, get in all 3 contracts, 8 contracts, 20 contracts, whatever ultimately I scale up to. I really want my entries to be timed well enough that I'm getting my entire order in one spot, because I'm cherry picking these orders well enough to do that. Scaling in basically means you were wrong in the first place, and you have an expectation, which right now I do. You have an expectation that you may be wrong in the first place, and you want to give yourself a little bit more room, a little bit more risk. Risk in ticks, not risk in dollars. You want to give yourself a little bit more room that in case it goes against you, you can scale into a trade. So we see again this indecisiveness, this channel here, this really small one. Do that a little too far. Sorry, this small channel here is holding again, testing the bottom of it, testing the 63 low. Something about that 63 is ringing a bell to me. I wonder. Oh no, that was 50. Okay, never mind. We're at 51.63. So I don't know if it's annoying to you guys or not, but if it is, well, honestly, it's just too bad. My son is on spring break, so I get to hear him a lot more during the morning, which for me is, God's blessing to me. So damn cute. I can't wait. He's 5 now. I can't wait to teach him how to trade. Well, once I'm doing it properly, I can't wait to teach him how to trade. I think kids will be great at this, learning, really just off of colors and patterns and shapes. I think kids will be spectacular at trading. It's just, far too much risk to take that gamble. So here's where you get chopped up, right in this type of consolidation. You break out down, bam, you go short. You break out above, bam, you go long. Let me tell you, that has happened to me countless number of times when I first started getting back into trading the futures. And this is one of those breakouts will work. Don't get me wrong. There will either a breakout to the downside or a breakout to the upside will work. But to try to trade every one of them, which is a very easy trap to fall into, and believe, man, that trap is based. You could name that trap after me. How many times I've done that? But what I've learned is I don't trade breakouts. I'm much more interested in looking for something like what might be happening here: a breakout, pull back, go short, and then see if we can continue, break out further in that direction. There's price action trading by a guy named Mack, M-A-C-K. It's called Price Action Trading System, and he talks about what's called the breakout pullback short, a breakout pullback long, and those are the way he describes them. I don't want to get into the mindset behind it. I mean, I guess we really can, but not right now. The way he describes them is very, very, very good. It explains what most traders are thinking when this happens and why it makes sense. But the other thing is what's called the trap, which is exactly what this looks like is here. You break out below, you trap traders. Traders start going short, starts pulling back up. In this pull back up, all these traders that went short start getting out, closing their trades. The people that are short now become buyers. They start pushing price up. Then there are people that are looking to buy at the breakout. They add into the momentum, and that's how you get quick spikes. So he talks about it in more detail than that. But so I almost never trade a breakout. Almost. I'm sure there'll be a scenario where something could be coming up where I'd say, okay, it looks good. The other day, actually, this is a perfect. The other day, I don't remember what day it was. We were trading right near the high of day or the high of a channel, and I made the comment of, if ever there was order flow that looked like we should go up, this is it. And I went long. And I don't think I was in the trade for very long, and I said, and it just didn't work. I think I closed that one out pretty much breaking even. But the order flow, everything that pointed to the breakout working, it still didn't work. Breakouts for me, I don't have the skill of determining which one will work and which one won't work. I'm much more interested in a case like this when you have a tight channel, not this tight, but when you have a consolidation pattern, more like this larger one here, more like the one that goes back into overnight, I'm much more interested in fading the extremes, trying to get short up here, trying to get long down here, and I use those VBs as help. I use levels. I like that the top of this channel is right near overnight high, and I try to use order flow to help. A super tight channel like this is just not for me. And one of the things I need to remember, and anyone that happens ever to be on here, feel free to remind me. I need to remember that on a day that's not Wednesday, that rule should still exist. I do find myself getting into trades within these channels much more often than I should on a day that's not Wednesday, because I forget. I don't focus as much on the fact that, that I'm expecting chop. There we go. We just traversed to the other end of that range. Now it's tiny, it's 5, 6, 7 ticks, but I'll tell you what, if you're messing around on both ends of that channel buying breakouts today, right now, you've been wrong, 1, 2, 3 times already. Now they could be small. You can keep your stops really, really tight in cases like that, and then the first one that goes your way, hopefully there's enough profit in there to make back whatever you may have lost in those trades. That, like I said, I don't have the skill set. There are plenty of people out there that have a way greater skill set than I do and have a better read on that kind of stuff. But so I'm much more interested in trying to get a short at the top of this move here than I was trying to get a short at the bottom of this move here. I'm not going to. Remember, we are still in an uptrend. Overnight high has held and was tested and held. Okay, definitely a bearish sign. The BBs are turned down, showing what most likely would be continued negative divergence if we pushed up towards overnight high and high of day. Definitely a bearish sign. We are in a very strong uptrend from overnight. Let's pull this in so we can see that. Sorry, that's not what I meant to do. All right, very strong uptrend from overnight. Let's go further back. Very strong uptrend from yesterday. So, sorry, a little too much. Very strong uptrend. Sooner or later, will there be a pullback? Absolutely. Do we know when that's going to happen? Absolutely not. The clues that we're looking for, and we were able to catch one this morning, was negative divergence at a level that matters to us. We got nice momentum at the open, giving us an opportunity to get short at a good price. Good price meaning it was very close to the previous high, very close to the level that we wanted. I took one contract because I didn't know if that's where the momentum was going to end. We had a pretty open space to the next level, so I was willing to scale in through this move. Again, this goes back to my abilities to time my entries. So I was willing to scale in really all the way up to this VPOC here. And ultimately, it didn't give me an opportunity to scale. It just went straight down from there. We closed our trade because we are in an uptrend. We took our 10 tick profit target. Could have had a little bit more, but again, where do you put it? You could have had a little more. What does that mean? So our profit target where we closed our trade was right here, okay? Above this swing, front running a level. Where do I go from there? Do I say, okay, let's see if we're going to test overnight VPOC? And certainly you can do that. At that point, you're still sitting in your trade right now, and not that there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted this to be a momentum style trade. Let me get the first push. I was fortunate that it made the 10 tick move. We've seen, how many times have we seen it get to our profit target and just stop and turn around? And then since then, it's just been choppy. It's been exactly what we would expect for a Wednesday morning. Now we're coming to test the upper end of this range. Excuse me. Let's see if this is the breakout that holds, or if we're going to just come back down to the other part. end of this consolidation. It's expanded by 1 tick, right? It was a 7-tick move from the bottom to the top here, 8-tick move from the top to the bottom here, 9-tick move from the bottom to the top here. That means absolutely nothing. I just thought that was interesting, but it's still 9 ticks. For my trading, that's just not enough. I'm not even bothering to look at order flow. I have no interest in being in a trade here. Certainly, I'm paying attention. I'm just paying attention to the screen, but there's nothing that can happen right now short of a quick spike up. A quick spike up would potentially get us into a short trade here. We'd have to start paying attention. Other than that, there's really nothing that can happen here. We need to either get closer to overnight high and these two swing highs back here, or we need to get to overnight VPOC at the least before we start looking for trades here. Looks like we are potentially going to form what is called hidden divergence, but we're still a ways away from that. Just to draw out what that would mean, you see an upward slope from low to low, right? So you have a low, then a higher low. Hidden divergence would be this. From that same points, if we continue to drift down this way, and let's say we get here, if at that time the BBs have come further down than where they were at this previous swing, I hope I'm explaining this well. If not, I'm sorry. If the BBs have come further down, so price at that point would have shown a higher low. BBs would be showing a lower low. When that happens in a trend, it's a hidden divergence. So in this case, that would be a bullish signal. I'm sorry if that didn't make sense. I don't. It made sense to me, but that doesn't mean I did a good job explaining it. So if I didn't, I'm sorry about that. Let's take a look where S&P is right now. I'm going to bring back in our hourly chart, 2362.50. When we drew out our hypos, we were at 2361. So our hypos really don't change much. Things are going to stay the way they were. Let's bring those up. Let's take a look at them. What time we have here? We still got okay, about 4 minutes. Let me go grab those hypos for us. And refresh our memory here. Okay. Now we are opening a little higher than what we're showing here, but this first hypo is absolutely in play. Watching for a push up to the high of this microcomposite into the microcomposite VPOC. Hopefully get a decent failure set up there. And look for a pullback down into all of these all of these VPOCs. Let's check if the overnight VPOC has remained. It has, and I don't think we are. We could be in jeopardy of it shifting as we trade up here for the next few minutes. Okay. Second hypo is, so this one is a little bit outdated right now because we have already pushed above this swing here. That swing correlates to this one. So this one's a little bit out. We would have to kind of readjust where we would be watching for the turn. But basically the idea is exactly what happened in oil. Not too far above overnight high. Not too far above the current overnight high with an attempt to turn right back down into the VPOCs here. If you look at the difference between Hypo 1 is a stronger push off the open to test the top of microcomposite. Back here, this swing and the former microcomposite VPOC. Hypo 2 is where we barely get above overnight high and come down to test these this cluster of VPOCs. Hypo 3 is an immediate push down to that cluster of VPOCs, retracement, in which point we are then looking for a short, but our range would be a lot nicer at that point compared to what we see on oil right now, and then a further push down. So there's our hypos. I'm going to leave this somewhere available so I can grab them again if needed. Okay. Oil has still done what I like to call nothing. So right here, we're looking for one of two things to happen at the open from the perspective of the downside. Okay, and that's not to say that's going to be the case. So this is the other. I don't know that I have a hypo. I don't know if I drew out one that showed a. Let me see something here. Okay, so I don't have one. I should have drawn one that looks like this, where we open, we get above the high, we hold support, and then we make our push. We're going to watch for that as well. S&P really strong overnight. At this point, I would say we are net long inventory. Oh, wait a minute. Let's get rid of that nonsense. Okay, less than a minute away from the open here on the S&P. Right now, I'm not even paying attention to oil. that could change. I mean, it's on our screen, so if a major move happens, we'll certainly be aware of it. So we're watching right off the bat. No negative divergence on BBs here. On oil, everything is bullish right now, so we need to respect that. There's that nose breathing again. Sorry. Let's see if this overnight high holds. I mean, it looks like right now obviously we're trading above it. It looks like the buyers are trying to keep it above overnight high. Let's see if that remains. I'm very, very interested in if we do hold this. I would love a little bit of a push, pull back, get an opportunity to get long here. That would be spectacular. I'm actually very tempted to start looking for a long here. Little outside our normal trading style. That is almost a breakout style of trade, but it is the first move of the day, so there is nothing really to break out of. Now these bars are overlapping fairly quickly, so a lot of indecisiveness right here. Rarely do you see the immediate open just overlap in a couple of ticks. I mean, that's the definition of chop right there. Let's see what happens here at overnight high. Okay, we've come through it, but we haven't really accepted below it. We've come through it, and we've so far. Let's see how this candle closes, and let's watch for the next one. Really looking like overnight high is trying to hold here. Very tempted to grab a long down here. As you can see, we haven't done that yet. Not as of this point, it's not really a setup, right? We normally we'd like to see a move, a retracement of that move with some type of divergence or some other type of converging signal. We have not gotten that yet. BBs are turning down on the 1597 and the 2584. So right now it looks like if we can get below this overnight high, it would be fair to say overnight high held as resistance. If we see this hold as resistance, I'd love one more test with some negative divergence. If we can see that, let's see if this spike up here gives us an opportunity to get into a short. We do have some negative divergence on the 1584. I'm sorry, 1597 and the 2584. We're doing some trading here on the offer, but it's holding. I'll tell you what, I am going short here. One contract, our expectation, if you remember, is going to be towards this cluster of VPOCs, which actually is way down here. I'm going to get this out of the way for now. Now, you see where my stop is, right above current high of day. I'm okay with that. I would be willing to scale in around here. Maybe I think I'll add a couple of ticks to my stop here. Where am I in? 63, 65, 65.50. So we're in the one contract right now. I'm not gonna lie, I would have expected that. So two things. One, I was looking for a slightly better entry price. I was looking for a little bit closer to VWAP. But I expected this to push away from overnight high a little faster than it has. So I'm watching order flow here. I want to make sure that the buyers don't just continue to step in here and refresh on the bid and turn this into where overnight high really held as support, not as resistance, and then drive this away. And right now they continue to step up, but sellers are not running away yet. See there, sellers are adding on to the offer while buyers are adding on to the bid. Definitely more buying than selling happening here, that's for sure. There's that VWAP. Sellers defended it again right there. Buyers stepped up, sellers came right back down. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Sellers are definitely showing the desire to stop this here. Now let's see if they can continue to do that. Let's see if they can start putting some pressure down. Let's start hitting these bids. That's not happening. There we go. I haven't really paid attention much to the order flow before getting into the trade, so I don't know if there was a particular area that buyers were stepping in or if it was sellers just ran out of steam. So let's see here. Let's watch to see if we trade the bid. We did there. We traded a couple hundred contracts. Okay, sellers came low offer. Buyers are defending here. We just did it again. Sellers tried to get rid of him and buyers step right back up. Really like to see this flush its way out here. Sellers step down again. Now let's see if they can defend that number. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want the buyers to step right back in. So the tick below us, the 6250 right now, buyers are absolutely stepping in and holding there. Now we haven't done much trading down there. We've only ticked down to it, which is how you know buyers are stepping in. The second we tick down, buyers come right back up. So that's definitely holding from an order flow perspective. I like that we're below VWAP. I like that we're below overnight high, but I really like to see this start pushing away because this could very easily turn into where overnight high held as support. You know, we tested below it, never really pushed away, and then overnight high would be considered holding as support there. And then we know we talked about the next push up above us. I really need to see this start making its way down. Getting some sellers to kind of get on board with my idea. Push up here in oil with our negative divergence still. So we are going to be looking for a short here. Just looking for buyers to kind of stop pushing up. And right there. Oh. As soon as I put in the order, the buyers step back in. But I'm watching for a potential scale in both of these actually. S&P back at VWAP. We've seen VWAP hold there. My profit target in oil will be the 10 ticks. I'm not looking to see. Oh wait, hang on. S&P. Buyers still stepping up there in the S&P. Still coming up. I'm watching for a slowdown in that to give me another entry here. I'm going to take on a second contract. And that's going to be it. I'm not going to add on to my trade here in the S&P. I actually can. The risk would be okay. But I don't, there's really not enough room. I guess I can scale one more up here if I so choose. We'll have to see about that. Buyers still stepping up. Sellers having trouble holding their ground here. So we just saw sellers step in there, but there's still some aggressive buying happening. I'm going in here and I'm moving my stop right here, about as tight a stop as I can get, especially considering where the last entry was. So our average price is 63.75. We'll add one tick to our stop. And let's see here. So again, we have negative divergence on 2 of the 3 BBs in the S&P. We have seen some strong buying coming up here. We need to see what the sellers are able to do now if they can push this back down. Overnight high has definitely been the battling point here. The first entry here basically, if you think about it, is kind of an attempt of a breakout. It's early in the day, but basically that's really what it was, which goes back to what I was saying before. I need to do a better job of waiting for trade opportunity. If that meant I would have missed that trade, so be it. That probably should be a trade I miss. Where my entries are here, further up top, obviously much better entry point, and I have further validation. That doesn't mean it's going to be right, but I have further validation from the BBs, and what that would do if we were a little bit more patient, if we started entering our trade up here, what that does is that pushes my stop further back. It gives me again, a nice range to scale into, and potentially gets my stop above some of these levels. Right now, my stop's kind of in no man's land. It has to just be that the BBs and the negative divergence hold, with the current high of day here being a turning point with an attempt to push back down, get back to overnight high. So not a great area to be into the trade because I started my trade a little bit too soon. Oil, I have no problem with where my trade entry is right now. Negative divergence right near overnight high. We saw it hold here as the swings. We saw the current high day hold. We have negative divergence on the BBs. So I have no problem with where my trade entry is on oil right now. Again, that's not to say the trade is going to work. We just saw a big buy go off there in the S&P. So just watching here, I'm more focused on the S&P right now than on oil. No particular reason, just seems to be a little more active. I guess that would be the reason. But have not seen selling step in to push this away. I think we're awfully close to getting stopped out here. I think it's coming right there. Yep. On the S&P. Okay, so now we are watching this move up. These are the levels. This is where we need to really be starting to watch for a decent short opportunity. This is where we should start be getting into trades if we get a nice setup here. Watching the S&P here, coming up to this swing and this formal market composite. We want to see if we can if we could get some negative divergence up here, which we did. We did just have some on this spike. I would have liked a little bit of a better trade opportunity. And I'm also watching oil for a scale here. So we are, hey, give me that. Okay. Where's our entry right now? 79. So still have negative divergence here on the S&P. And I am going to take my first short here. So why? Negative divergence on 2 of the 3 BBs, bouncing up against the level that we have interest in. overlapping bars with, oh, hang on, let's look for a scale here. Okay, grab that. And now we are potentially, we've lost some divergence on that 2584. That's not a great sign. Okay. Holding off on a further scale in here on the S&P because we've lost our divergence. So I'm a little bit concerned here. Doesn't look like that one's going our way. Same thing is happening in oil right now. So we lost our divergence there. Definitely not what I had in mind. Yeah, so I didn't want to take that third contract in the S&P. So, just bad. You know, X number of minutes ago, I talked about trying to avoid taking breakout trades, and of course, I set myself up for a breakout trade. I'm okay with the first short as we got up to here. I'm okay with that. We had negative divergence, but at this point, let's refocus. At this point, we definitely are. Overnight high has held as support, and that's really what should have been done. Really should have been waiting to see what that does. If we hold it as support, like we saw, we really should have waited for the first major move and then tried to play the continuation of that move. So this held the support. We should be waiting for pullbacks and looking for opportunities to go long. That's really the right thing to have done there. So I've said it before, and I'll say it a million times. My Achilles heel in trading is the patience, is being willing to wait for a trade to set up, not always needing to be in a trade. Didn't let that happen here. Let's see where this is heading from here, right? We have another microcomposite VPOC way up here. A lot of space. Oil, on the other hand, we didn't add a third because you could see we have no negative divergence on the first two, the 610 and 987. I should very, very slight, if any. 1597 still does have negative divergence, so that's nice. We got something going in our favor here, but I didn't want to add on a third contract, so we're holding with the two right now. Oh shoot, what time is it? No, okay, good. Down here, if you remember, we saw buying step in every time we touched 60, or was it 60? Hang on. I want to make sure that I'm referencing the right thing. You know what? I don't want to get that wrong. I'm sorry. I don't. I think it was here how people, we just kept stepping in at 63. I'm sorry. I don't remember, and I don't want to get it wrong. So I apologize for that. I know I mentioned it earlier in the video, so we'd have to go back and take a look. I have to go back and take a look. Again, we're starting to get overlapping bars up here in the S&P, but we really need to be watching for pullbacks to get into long trades. Gotta watch oil here. We are getting right near VWAP middle of day and the open of day. Let's see if we get some buying stepping in there, some support. I moved my second profit target down on oil, not because I necessarily think it's going down there. I just kind of want to have it out of the way. I want my first profit target down there at 10 ticks. I would absolutely be willing to close this trade earlier than that if I think it's it presents itself that way. But right now, let's see if we can't get below 21 EMA, make a move towards those three converging pricing there: middle of day, open of day, and VWAP. Let's give that. Let's see if we can't step down and give those a test. Buyers keep stepping in here at 51.76. Sellers just sell. Okay, so there you go. Sellers have come down. As I was in that sentence, it was changing, but I wanted to finish my sentence. Okay, sellers coming down with size, so that's nice. Let's see if we can't start hitting bid though. All right, let's see if we trade here. Watch that. No, we traded offer there and traded offer pretty aggressively. So I'm watching that yellow number now. I want to see it trade at the bid, which it is certainly not doing. Way more trading happening at the offer right now than at the bid. Still happening there at the offer. So, we ticked down to the bid, but it's one contract only going off there. We need to see that 517 drop, to 450 on the bid, right there. We need to see that. So, it keeps ticking right up and we're trading offer.
Hey, Eddie, can I ask something real quick?
Yeah, sure.
In oil right now, you have your stop pretty high.
Uh-huh.
If say we pushed past the high of day,
mm-hmm.
what's really stopping the buyers from keeping on going and keep on pushing it up? I mean, you have one level right here, and then it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of room to stop. Like down here, you have a lot, and you have this consolidation.
Yeah, very good.
So, yeah, so I see why you're taking the short, but if it starts to push up, why do you have your stop all the way up here?
Because I want to see what the BBs look like when we get there. If
Okay.
if we come up there and we don't have any divergence and the BBs show strength, I won't even use my stop. I'll close my trade on my keyboard.
Okay.
But it's up here because if the BBs show negative divergence and we make a move up here, I'd be willing to scale into a third contract.
Mm-hmm.
But if it turns here and it starts heading up and we see the BBs show no negative divergence and they're presenting like it's going to continue to break higher and higher, it won't even get to that price before we close the trade. And one of the things that I'm looking at here is if we get below VWAP, if we push down, moving the stop down to above overnight high. Meanwhile, look here at the S&P again, consolidation right at a high. I would love a pullback down into these areas, maybe even all the way down to VWAP and current middle of day. I would love a pullback down there to go long. Hang on, what's happening here? We keep testing this 74, but are we printing? Let's see. No. No. Man. Every time I look over at order flow on oil, it seems as if we are big chunk just went off on the offer. I'm glad that the offer stayed, but I really want to see people start trading the bid. Small trades there, nothing major on that 44. Okay, we're hitting bids now. Continuing to, but they held their ground. So that right there, buyer stepped up. Let's see if I can switch back. Trading offers again. So we just took one tick down, traded a couple contracts, came right back up to trade the offer. Look at the profile here on the S&P. All this volume that just got put in here. All this low volume here through this climb up. Oopsie. Again, we need to remember that because it is Wednesday morning, how slow oil could go. We don't want to get overly aggressive or too impatient. We'll save that for the S&P. Okay, VPOC shifted in oil. You could see real clear distribution. This is what we need to get below, the 73. What's currently middle of day. Bits keep stepping up here. But again, I'm being very, very microscopic at this point. S&P pulling down here a little bit. You see people trying to go short right out of this channel, right? There's those people selling right at a breakout. We do see a downturn in the BBs, but right now we are watching for support somewhere between overnight high and right around VWAP in middle of day. I am looking for opportunities to get long in the S&P right now. But I need the pullback to be far enough that I have my 8-tick profit target between where I enter and somewhere near the high a day. Oh shoot, it's 10 o'clock. All right, I'm going to flatten out my oil trade right here. I don't really want to. You know what we'll do? Let's do this. Let's bring this down to here. I really don't want to do that, but this way I'll leave markers on my chart, so when I go back and I watch my video, in case I don't remember what the hell I was doing, although I'll hear myself, this will be on there. All right, I am going to have to run. I would like to. Oh, look, so there's a pushback on the S&P, but no real pullback here. 9 ticks. 9 ticks after a 31 tick upswing. That's a nice move. To tell you the truth, I honestly don't see the only trade opportunity, and I don't even know that I would call it one, would be when we see these 2 wicks hold at the bottom, a strong bullish candle above overnight high, with this candlestick setup right here, push down with the wick, strong candle to follow, getting above your level that we were looking at, either support or resistance. That's the only thing that I can see as even potentially a trade opportunity. But you'd have to be really, really dialed in to see that, and I certainly was not. All right, I do have to run. As always, feel free to get in touch with me. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow.